The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to this morning's webinar on how to adapt your social media activity in times of uncertainty. If you could just let me know if you can hear this okay and that you can hear the slides. We will wait just a couple of minutes before getting properly started to allow people time to join and get things set up, and we just want to make sure that you can hear everything. As soon as I start, I will be recording so that you can watch this afterwards. We will keep the Q&A box open as we go through, but we'll have time for questions at the end as well. So if you could just let us know that you're there with us this morning, that would be great. Lovely to see some names I recognise as well. Thank you. Good morning. Okay, let's get started. Let me just make sure that we are recording. And we are recording. So again, good morning and welcome to today's webinar for IPSE on how to adapt your social media activity in times of uncertainty. My name is Luann Wise. I'm going to be hosting this session. I'm hopefully going to keep the slides to about 30 minutes. So those of you that want to do PE with Joe at 9 o'clock can disappear before the Q&A session if you like. We are recording this session and it is actually running again tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. So if for any reason you do need to jump out of today and you have got Q&A or want to watch it again with me tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, then you can register for that. But before I start the slides, I'm just going to hand over to Sarah at IPSE.
Thanks, Luann. Hello, good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining the breakfast webinar today, and to Luann as well for running it. My name's Sarah Harper. I'm the event manager at IPSE. Obviously, there's been a lot in the news recently about how the self-employed are affected by the COVID-19 crisis. So I'm just going to give a really quick, just a one-slide update on where you can find our resources and information in light of the current situation, which may be valuable to you. Then I'll hand back to Luann for the rest of the webinar. As Luann said, the webinar will be recorded and it will be sent out as well to everyone afterwards as well in the next couple of days. So please don't worry about writing down all the links on this page here. But for the information and resources from IPSE, the best link to go to is to our homepage on our website, which is www.ipse.co.uk. From there are links to our COVID-19 hub, which is updated on a daily basis, along with a frequently asked questions page. We'll also be running a series of webinars over the coming weeks, including the one today and tomorrow from Luann, to help guide you through. If you go onto our website as well and you go onto the event listing page, that's where you'll find all of our scheduled webinars. They're all free of charge to members and non-members, and recordings are available of them afterwards as well. One webinar that might be of interest to you is one tomorrow that we're running on coronavirus support and what can you get at 12:30 tomorrow, Thursday the 2nd of April. That will have a more detailed overview of the support available and what IPSE has been doing to campaign on this. The registration link is on the slide here, but if you just go again to our homepage, www.ipse.co.uk, then there'll be a link from the homepage and you can register from there. They'll be hosted by our policy team. So the speakers there will be Andy Chamberlain, our Director of Policy, alongside with Alistair Hutchinson, IPSE's Policy Development Manager, and Ryan Barnett, IPSE's Economic Policy Advisor. For any detailed questions on the current situation, please do contact the policy team. They have been inundated with queries recently, so bear with them, but you can contact them on policyqueries@ipse.co.uk. Or again, if you watch the webinar tomorrow, hopefully your questions will be answered then. There are social media links there as well, so follow us on social media. We're updating on a regular basis as well. But for now, I'll hand back to Luann on this webinar. Over to you, Luann.
Thanks, Sarah. And a huge thank you to IPSE for everything that you're doing right now, and the coverage and the support. So as an ambassador, I'm really proud to be involved and to support with this content as well. So I know many of the good morning comments came through from people that I know and have met and have attended webinars before, so thank you for coming back. But just in case we haven't met, or as a brief reminder, this is a picture of me. I'm not using my webcam because it is 8:30 in the morning. I'm a marketer. I've got 20 years experience in agency, client side and consultancy roles. I've written a lot of content on social media, including a book called Relax, It's Only Social Media. And I guess that's actually my theme for today as well, is, you know, it's okay. It's just a communications channel. We don't need to overthink it and worry too much about it. But hopefully what I'm sharing with you on the slides are lots of practical tips for however the current situation is affecting your business. And although I don't think it will ever get as serious as this in the future, if there's ever any other times of uncertainty or crisis that are affecting you, some tips in here as well. So as well as running a consultancy business and working with a number of clients on a day-to-day basis, I am involved directly with some of the social media platforms. I will talk about some of this later on in the session as well. I've got lots of resources for you. I'm a course instructor for LinkedIn Learning, which is LinkedIn's own online learning platform. I'm an accredited trainer for Facebook and Instagram, a coach for Google Digital Garage Initiative, and as I said, I'm really proud right now to be an ambassador for IPSE. If you want to find me on social media, having a unique name works really well for me, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at LuanneWise, and my website is luannewise.co.uk. So I guess my biggest point to start this morning and hopefully reassure you is that really don't panic. Please don't panic right now. We know that as small business owners, as freelancers, as contractors, as marketers are watching this as well, that success and what we're trying to achieve, we always think it's a straight line. People think it's a straight line. What it really looks like is this battle, ups and downs, roller coaster, and it's probably never been more so like the image on the right now than it has been in the past. But we can get over this, and hopefully some of the ideas that I'm going to share today will help you do that. But what's really important to understand right now is that actually everyone is impacted. This isn't certain pockets of people, it's not certain locations, it's not specific groups or industries, it is everyone right now. Life has changed, and it's changed really fast, really, really fast. It is not whether we panic or don't panic, bury our head in the sand, don't acknowledge this, it is not business as usual. We're all confused, we're all emotional to some extent or another, different times of the day, different days of the week, as what we're doing, because life has changed, whether that's our business world, our friends and family, our lifestyle, you know, and no one had a plan for this. I'm a planner, I didn't have a plan for this. I don't think this has ever appeared on a SWOT analysis or anything. We may plan for hiccups and mistakes and negative press, but no one had a plan for this. And what's really, really important to remember, that while everyone is impacted, that we're actually in this together, and we can work through this together if we support each other and we recognise it. And hopefully that's why the tips I'm going to share are so important, because it's actually all about communication. We can't bury our head in the sands. We have to be out there. We have to be more visible, probably more than ever. So our communication skills are what's really going to come into play right now. And we don't know for how long, but hopefully some of this you'll understand as well. Is I think I've got some short-term ideas as well as long-term stuff as well. Behaviours have changed. That's the part of life that's changed, and it's changed really quickly, and some people are working with that. So time out immediately have changed to time in, with ideas of what to do. Our travel has been limited, our schools have closed, we're working from home, we're using different tech. Some people are maybe not used to working from home and having to adapt to all of that. We're shopping online, Most of us have always shopped online, but we're doing even more so now, and we're bulk buying. And our media consumption has changed as well. The news that we're watching, the information that we're gathering, the sources, the daily government updates are being watched, I think, more than any other programmes. And it really highlights for me, just to use a bit of theory, that we're going actually really back. If anyone recognises this, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're going absolutely right back to our basic needs right now for food, water, warmth, security and safety. But probably as important is to just recognise how important Wi-Fi and the internet is for us in staying connected. I read a great article around, imagine if this had happened 20 years ago. It would be a very, very different situation to how we're dealing with it right now. And there's new trends appearing as well. I'd love to know if anyone's tried this yet. Google Trends is an excellent tool to always see what's happening, what people are searching for. But in the last week or so, there's been a huge growth in people searching for how to cut their own hair. I think it's going to be really interesting in a few weeks' time. I've seen some great quotes around, we're going to find out what real hair colour everyone has. I'm quite lucky that I have a stock of hair dye. So my big message is really that it's about don't panic, keep calm, carry on. And for those 90s fans, it's all about pivoting right now, staying focused, but having to pivot what we're doing, reassess everything that we're doing. But what's really important as well is that we don't stop marketing. We don't switch this off. However your business is affected, whether you have had to stop operating or whether you're still going, don't stop marketing, because people will still buy things during this crisis. And even if they don't, your business will be one of the first ones they think of when the crisis is over, if you stay in front of them. And of course, people are still buying things, and you may have something right now that people need, or people want, or are recognising. Trying to keep this light-hearted, here was a couple of examples. I found that Mojave Slippers are sponsoring a background on Zoom, which has increased in popularity. I don't know what the stats are, but lots of people haven't heard of Zoom a few weeks ago. Those of us that work from home are probably well used to using it, but you know, they are still visible. Mojave Slippers are visible now we're all at home. And Conference Call Chic, I quite liked that one. So staying visible is what's really important in keeping your marketing going. And social media use is increasing. As a consumer, I've seen it increasing. As a business owner, I've seen it increasing. And it made me really think about what is the mission of the social media platforms. And if we go back and look at the mission statements, which I'll read out in a second to you, it really does show how each of them can fit into our lives and our world, and how they can keep us achieving what we need to achieve during these times of uncertainty. Facebook's mission statement actually changed 2 or 3 years ago, and it is now to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. LinkedIn's mission statement hasn't changed since they launched in 2003. It's about connecting the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. Twitter's mission is to give everyone the power to create and share ideas. And more importantly, it's about sharing information instantly without barriers. And Instagram, capturing and sharing the world's moments. Now, some of that has changed because we are on lockdown and may think we don't have as much to share, but we do still have a lot to share behind the scenes. And all of these tools have their own roles. I'm not going to go into today which platforms are right for your business, but I would say the answer to that, if it was to come up in the Q&A, is always where you're going to find your target audience, or where you're going to find the information that you need to support your business. It's really important to stay connected, and social media tools are helping with that. And the platforms are all doing their best to remove any misleading information about the virus. You may also have noticed that Instagram have a stay home sticker that you can use on stories, and they are sharing everything that's posted with that sticker so you can see what other people are doing when they're staying at home as well. So staying visible, even if you are closed, you need to keep posting. You need to stay visible. And what's really important is acknowledging the current situation. We can't, as I said, it's not business as usual. We have to acknowledge what's going on. We need to let people know if we're still open for business. And if we are open for business, how things might have changed. Are you changing what you're doing in terms of sharing information about your hygiene practices, how you're looking after your staff? Have you changed your opening hours? Have you changed your delivery times? Really important to let people know. And just as an aside tip, to change that on Google My Business as well. If you're using any of the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, I would pin that important information to the top of your social media profiles so that people can see instantly how you're dealing with things, what you're doing, how people can still access you, if it's different phone numbers, if it's different email addresses, for example, and try and think about adding something to your website as well if you get a lot of traffic and people might be going there. So stay visible. If your business is closed, you can still post content. I've seen restaurants are posting recipes. Starbucks are still talking about awareness days and how they're celebrating them. But from at home, we need to stay in front of people even more so at this time. Show them what we're doing and show them what we're working on. But we also need to focus on empathy. Really important. And hopefully we're doing this stuff anyway before a crisis. This shouldn't hopefully be something that we're suddenly doing. But focusing on empathy means checking in with your customers and key contacts. Don't wait for them to come to you. Be proactive, even if it's just a, hi, how you doing? Or, you know, I've seen some really great content. Just thought I'd tell you that it's great, that you're working really hard. Or haven't seen you post anything, really would, you know, recommend that you let people know what you're up to. Just offer help and support. Let people know, your customers and your key contacts in your network, whether that's colleagues or peers or business partners, anyone that you're working with and have regular communication with, offer them help and support and let them know that you're there. Do address concerns. You know, do say, you know, we're in this together. Address any concerns that they might have or you might have in delivering your products and services right now. It is about reinforcing that we're in this together. And what's particularly important, as I said, the platforms are doing their best to remove misleading information. It's really important at all times that when we're sharing content, that we do so from credible sources. This isn't a time to mislead anyone or focus on fake news or myths. We've really got to focus, because we are emotional and confused and slightly distracted on a day-to-day basis. We can't ignore that. And we need to be sensitive as well. In our copy for our social media posts, our emails, anything we're doing, do use terminology like in these challenging times, or we recognise the uncertainty. Don't use fear, but do just acknowledge what's going on. We're all human, it's okay, but be mindful as well. So don't create social media posts which show activities or attractions with large crowds. That's not sensitive right now. And if we're publishing any inspirational content, particularly for the leisure and hospitality industry perhaps, or any inspirational quotes, need to be reviewed quite carefully right now. We don't want to include phrases like take your breath away. An awful example, but we will start to see this. And the biggest quote that comes to mind as I was putting this slide deck together for these sessions was the quote by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is really important at all times, but you know, especially right now. And I could have filled this presentation deck with loads of examples of what brands are doing, but I wanted to focus more on practical tips but in the resources section at the end, there is a link to a document that is changing daily from an agency who have collected lots of brand examples of what people are doing on social media right now. So that's in the resources at the end of the slide deck, along with some others, and I'd encourage you to go and have a look at that. What is important, I said about this kind of how you make people feel, is that brands are being judged by their responses. And for me, it's also about, who do we want to work with? It's not just the brands that we might buy from as a consumer, but is it reflecting the kind of people that we want to work with? And holding true to those values is going to be really important as we maintain our businesses. So, how to keep marketing? It's always a tricky balance on social media or any marketing activity, and this makes some people feel a bit icky between the overt selling. And you may have something, as I said earlier, that people want right now, but I think this isn't the time to take advantage or be seen as opportunistic. I think it needs that sensitivity around the language, around the imagery. Humour does work, but it needs to be careful as well. I'm hoping we don't see any April Fool's jokes online this morning. It'll be interesting to have a look. What's really important is that you do stay relevant to your business. Pivot, yes, but don't go off on a complete tangent because you think that you need to completely change direction or do something different or become an expert in a different area. You can sell, but don't be too overt about it. And one of the links, and if you heard a previous webinar I've done, I would focus on what we call social selling and building relationships. There isn't a quick win to that, but it is something that's going to be important. And again, I've put the link at the end. This is about making short-term changes, but it's also about focusing on the long term. And I just wanted to add a point in here about price and doing things for free, because I know that if this is a time of panic and worry about your business and financial situations, there is a knee-jerk reaction to do everything for free. And absolutely, some businesses are offering services for free right now. National Geographic have made some of their content ungated. Harvard Business Review have. Audible have made some of their services free. Google are giving away some ad credits, but it's still relevant to their business and is supporting trial and awareness. It isn't going off in a completely different direction. We do need to hold on to our values and our business because we are needing to focus on the long term and coming out of this the other side. Some days that's easier to do than others, but that's the key point I think we need to be doing right now. Short-term changes, absolutely. Remember, your customers do need you. Do think about how you can help them right now. And think about, I'm coming on to content in a minute, what tips and resources can you be sharing? What have you already got that you can pull out and keep sharing and keep posting? Is there something about your products and services that you can help the people that are at home with their children right now? Joe Wick's amazing in terms of his PE lesson, which is starting very shortly. I'm not doing it myself, but some of you may be. Some of the other reading services and online resources. What have you got that you can share because it's relevant to help people right now? Really short-term changes, and I hope you've done some of this already, is one of the first things we always need to do when something goes on in the world is review our scheduled content. As I said, I hope there's no April Fool's activity around today. I will be watching for it. We may just need to slightly tweak scheduled content to put some of those words around challenging times. We recognise uncertainty in there. Just do some tweaks. We may need to postpone some content to when things are in a new normal. But it is important to stay visible. I would also review any automation that you've got going on, whether that's email autoresponders, any feeds that you have. Switch off the scheduling and the automation right now, because we need to reassess this daily, just as the government are doing, just as the medical experts are doing. We need to adapt what we're doing. and kind of stay in the moment, but focus on being helpful. So I'm a big advocate for scheduling when it's right and when you're ready and it can work for your business. But right now we need to switch that off and stay a bit more agile and focused on what we can do today, depending on what's going on. But we should always be planning for the long term as well. And again, I know this will depend on your situation, whether your business is almost closed down right now because you can't go out and work, or whether you are used to working from home and having to work in different ways because of your clients and your home life situation. Some of this you may be able to do right now. Some of this is just nice stuff to do when you have the time. I appreciate that, but planning for the long term is what we need to do. We need to be thinking about what can we do to prepare for the future. Even though behaviours are changing, how we are operating is changing, I think because of our minds at the moment and the uncertainty, it's important to use data and insights to inform any decisions. So that's your own data, but also do look at what's going on, what the industry publications and professional bodies, what they're releasing to support you. And as I said, the Maya Angelou quote, how people make you feel, really do always focus on your reputation. Work on the long-term game of building the know, like and trust factor so that people want to do business with you. But I've now got some activities that will help with the long-term planning, whether we're in times of uncertainty or not. I'm an advocate of planning, but probably one of the most important things to be doing is to revisit your customer personas. You may call this an avatar. It's basically this picture in your head of your ideal customer and how you're going to be communicating with them, because their pain points have changed. Their challenges have changed, their priorities have changed, and how you can help them has also changed. So whether you have these created already, whether it's time to start them now, one of the LinkedIn learning courses I have written and is available is about creating target audience profiles, and I will be posting that on my LinkedIn profile in the next couple of days, which means it will be free for you to access. So if we're not connected on LinkedIn, please find me on LinkedIn, send me a message so that I know that's why you're connecting with me. And in the next couple of days, I will start posting links to my LinkedIn learning courses, which will make them free for you to access. How to do the customer personas? Well, I've already suggested that you keep speaking to your customers and you check in with them. So as you're having those chats, you will realise what their pain points and challenges, how they've changed and how you can help them. But also, this is a topic, again, I've covered this on other webinars, there's links at the end, is about using social media to listen. And the amazing Stephen Covey quote around most people listen with the intent to reply rather than to understand. Right now, because social media has become more active, more people are posting, we can really use these tools to understand how people are feeling, what their concerns are, and how we can help them. Again, this isn't to take advantage, but it's to understand how we can adapt our content, what resources we can offer to be helpful and be seen to be helpful. Without doing an entire presentation on social media listening, use your newsfeed. Just the people that you are connected to, or the companies that you're following, or the individuals that you're following. Just keep scrolling through your newsfeed to see what people are posting, to see what they're saying, see what their concerns are, the tips that they're offering as well. Facebook groups. Again, there is a whole webinar on Facebook groups and how they can be valuable to your business. Facebook groups are a great place to join, to get support, to understand. You will find Facebook groups for your local area, so you may be able to find out what takeaways are still delivering. You may be able to use Facebook groups to get support, to get food deliveries, to offer support to your community. But from a business perspective, there will be groups around getting advice from your peers, people doing what you're doing, all groups around your industry. I've shared before, I'm in a number of social media management groups, and I can see the questions that all of those people are asking, so it makes me think about how I can help. Following hashtags is always important for listening. Whether you're doing that on Instagram or Twitter, I'd encourage you to try and do it on LinkedIn as well at the moment if you have a particular B2B audience. And of course, there are specific hashtags for this crisis. These are the three main ones that I'd encourage you to have a look at. But do also follow hashtags that are around your industry and around your topics as well. Again, I've got some links on how to do this at the end. Some of this may be relevant to you right now. Some of it may go on that things I'd like to do when list. Hootsuite is my preferred tool for social media management, but particularly for listening, because not only can I set up streams for my mentions and my newsfeed, etc., but I can do searches and set up columns based around those kind of keywords, around sentiment, around location. If you haven't used Hootsuite before, please do get in touch. I've got a short training video on that. If you want to discuss it more, get in touch. But if you are already a Hootsuite user, you'll recognize this screenshot as you go in to add a stream. Instead of adding something from one of your profiles, go into search and set up some search streams. And as I said, some people are organizations are doing support for free right now, and Hootsuite have actually offered for small businesses and non-profits affected by the crisis are offering their professional plans free until July 2020. This is also a good time to do some housekeeping. It's probably the thing that's always on our list and we do need to do. So just some ideas around if you have got time right now, thinking of the future, thinking about how you need to make some immediate changes. What housekeeping activities could you be doing? Well, I think it's always important to be updating your profiles, not just with the immediate information of how the virus has affected your business in terms of opening hours, delivery, etc., but just making sure that your profiles are up to date, relevant for what you need them to do. If you are being more active online or not, but just as a general rule, it's always important to check your privacy settings on the platforms so that you know what you're sharing and who you're sharing it with. And just the housekeeping around tidying up who you're following. Do you still need to be following people? Are they inactive? Do you need to follow other people for information and insights that's going to help your business? And a couple of tools that I use to unfollow. On Twitter, I like to use a tool called Untweets, which allows me to identify people that are not active on Twitter. And if they're not active, there's no need for me to be following them. And similarly, a tool for Instagram, if people are not active or perhaps not following me back, that's a tool that will help me keep my streams and do some housekeeping. I'd also recommend, it needs to be done manually, but on LinkedIn, this is a really good time to go through your network. If there's people posting content that's not relevant or useful for you, you could unfollow them or remove them as a connection completely. This is also a really good time to just review those Facebook groups that you're in. If you haven't visited them for a while, if they're inactive, then why not leave them? Maybe find some new Facebook groups to join. The same for LinkedIn groups. A lot of the time I've said about updating your website, and we're using social media to drive traffic to our website, but are we checking our website for broken links? That's a really good housekeeping tip. And the last one is just a one-word statement, but is actually quite a big task, is if you have a content inventory, that's a list of all your content that's out there, like blogs, downloads, resources. Do you have that as a document that you can refer to? If you don't, it's time to create one. If you do, it's time to review it, because that is how you're going to identify content that you've already got that you could update or is particularly useful to be sharing right now. You may want to create new content, just like I've done with this webinar today, but I'd like to think you've probably already got some content that you could just make some small tweaks to. Some other admin prep work that you could be doing. Again, some of these are lengthier tasks, so I've put links into further resources for this. I think this is a really good time to be asking people for testimonials and recommendations. If you are pivoting slightly, if it's a bit harder to get some more work, we should be asking for recommendations and testimonials anyway, but this is a really good time to get that crossed off your list. And just some activity around helping you listen, helping you identify content. I'm a big fan of using Google Alerts to receive information when it's posted on the web, whether that's about people or brands or products, any keywords. I also like to have some saved search alerts on LinkedIn. If people update their LinkedIn profiles to meet criteria of a target audience, I can receive those as email alerts. The link there takes you to a very short how-to video on my YouTube channel, and I will be adding some more how-to tips on there in the next few days. I'm also a huge fan of using Twitter lists. I've included that in a previous webinar, but I also have a blog on how to do that. And Twitter lists is a way of following accounts on Twitter to keep information quite streamlined and focused. So if you wanted a list of people sharing relevant content about coronavirus right now, a list is the way to do it, to keep it focused and easy for you to access. And whether you've done that content inventory or not, now is also a good time to think about new content ideas for the future. We are doing long-term preparation as well as some short-term wins. Think about content that I would call is evergreen content, content that will not date, that is relevant all the time, just like I was able to immediately give you links to how to set up Google Alerts and how to create Twitter lists. And a brilliant tool to get ideas for content is a free website called Answer the Public. If you want to have a play with that, you could put in your topic, your industry, a word, and what Answer the Public will do will show you what questions people are asking about on Google and search around that topic. And they focus it on the who, what, when, why, how, and you would get questions back which may give you ideas for new content. Also think about timely content. I said some awareness days may not be quite so relevant right now, or you might have to adapt how you engage with them, but it's a really good time to just do that research around awareness dates that might be useful for you in the future. And also some research around hashtags that are relevant to your content so that you're not trying to find them on the fly all the time of what to include with your posts. Why not have a little bit of time doing some research, creating that list? So as we start to come out the other side, or you're spending more time building your business development, you've done all the prep work. A couple of resources now to share with you to help you with this before we go on to questions. I've got 3 slides. Watertight Marketing 2nd edition was launched yesterday by Bryony Thomas. I would encourage you to have a look at this book. It's a great read. It helps you assess leaks in your business and how you can resolve them. But one of the models that I particularly like, and I've referred to this before, is yo-yo marketing. And that I said about staying visible right now, you need to stay visible all the time in your business, consistently. Show up consistently so you're not just visible when times are hard or you don't have as much work, and then you disappear when you've got your head down in a project, because you'll see the effects on your marketing activity and sales on the left. If you are consistently posting, having conversations, releasing content, then that's a much better habit to be in and will also help you grow in the long term. Another slide that I've used for kind of how to answer people on social media in terms of potential crises before. It's a wonderful, bright flow chart from Helen Reynolds at Comms Creative. So I know it's harder to see on the screen right now, so I've put a link to the PDF. You can download that kindly with Helen's permission. If you ever receive complaints, attacks, queries, compliments, questions through social media, how to respond to those. It may be that you've already got this, it may be something that you need to update right now, but it's always a good tool to have in your toolbox, and I'd encourage you to go and have a look at that afterwards. So hopefully I've got lots of tools in here to help you. So updating your skills is also something people are doing right now for the long term. There are lots of courses out there, lots of courses that are free. These are the 4 that I particularly recommend for their credibility and integrity, but also because they have certificates as well that will support you long term. LinkedIn Learning is part of a paid for subscription, but they often will be offering you free 30-day trials, or you could just subscribe for a month and have access to a library of thousands of courses: marketing, social media, content, Photoshop, timekeeping, productivity, etc. Some really great courses. Yes, I am involved with those, but I do know how much work goes into creating them. Facebook also have e-learning courses for Facebook and Instagram. It's called Blueprint. You can just watch all those video and online learning courses, but also you can take certificates as well if you wish to. I mentioned Hootsuite earlier as a preferred social media management tool. They also have their own online learning courses of how to use the tool better and have what they call a university to get certified. And also Google Digital Garage have lots of courses on everything from analytics to marketing planning. And again, it takes about 40 hours, but there is a qualification. So if you're looking to update your skills right now, or maybe in the future, there's resources that I recommend for you. How I can help you specifically, hopefully this webinar has been useful for you. I do usually do a webinar a month for IPSE, and all of the recordings of previous webinars are on my YouTube channel, link at the top. I have lots of free resources and downloads on my own website. I have a weekly email newsletter that comes out on a Monday morning that shares all the updates to the social media platforms, as well as useful resources and recommended reading. And as I said, my LinkedIn learning courses, I will be posting those over the next few days to make them free for you. And they are on social media, content marketing, video tips, and target audience. I do have an ebook, which is probably the best option right now, on how to write a social media marketing plan. I've included a 50% off discount code. If you want to go to my website and download that, it takes you step by step of how to do some of that research around hashtags and audience to create a social media marketing plan for the future. And it's slightly hidden on there. I'll amend that slide, but my email address is sayhello@luannwise.co.uk. A link back to those web pages that Sarah mentioned at the beginning around IPSE support, which is updated daily, and their FAQs. Don't forget their webinar tomorrow. Please do check the government website. That's the most credible resource right now for information on what you need to do for your health, for your business, and the links that I also mentioned earlier, which I think are worth a look. The Guardian did a great article around which companies are coming through during the crisis, and there's some examples there of what brands are doing right now. So I have spoken for 45 minutes. I really hope that that has been useful for you. You will get a copy of the recording. If you need to disappear, please do so. But if you have got any Q&A, please do pop them in the box. We will look at them now. And we'll also be writing up this content. And if you think of a question overnight, then please do register for the webinar at 7 p.m. tomorrow, and we'll be able to have a look at them then. Someone is cutting their own hair at home. Someone can't get the links to click. You won't right now on your screen. I'm just screen sharing, but as soon as you get the document and the recording, you will be able to click the links. Yeah, lots to think about. How do we get access to links? As soon as you get a copy of these slides, I'm going to convert the recording when we've finished and we'll send it to you. But please just go straight to my website, luannwise.co.uk. You'll be able to find some resources on there. And if you go to IPSE.co.uk, you'll be able to find their coronavirus help pages as well. Thank you. Just looking through these. We work with a lot of small local businesses. Any suggestions of how we can support them specifically? Small local businesses is still quite a wide topic, so I guess it depends on the nature of the business. But I would just say try to understand what their challenges are right now and be really specific about how you can help them. So is it that they are restaurant businesses or hospitality businesses? You know, all the tips that hopefully I've shared in here with you around staying visible, focusing on what your customers need and how you can help them and be relevant. That would be my answer. But if you do want to send me a specific question to give me more information around what you do and what those small local businesses do, then we could pick that up. Any thoughts on positioning for events in the future? I work with a number of unique event venues and want to help them plan for when they reopen. Yes, events, you know, have been hit. They were hit from the very beginning, particularly the larger events, you know, the large gatherings of people. They were one of the first industries to be impacted and to change. Some events have shifted online. You know, we were already doing webinars. Some events have turned into virtual events. Some just don't work virtually. It's a very different environment and a way of communicating. And of course, you don't have the face-to-face networking that lots of people value. I would say you need to keep visible. Your event venues, keep showcasing them, keep showing people what's happened in the past, what's unique about them, how they can be used. But it's about planning. It's about planning for as soon as you are available, having that launch plan in place to say, we're open again, come and see us, have a look, here's some images. Perhaps you could do some virtual tours right now. That's how universities are replacing their open days with virtual tours. Again, if you want to pick that up specifically, actually, we know each other. I've just seen who posted that question. Just give me a shout. Just going to run through these. I've got a couple of questions that are there to help, but thank you for everyone that's saying thank you as well. Are the awareness days the national something days you hear about? Yep, they are everything from National Popcorn Day to Poetry Month to April Fools, any key dates. Some won't be quite so suitable right now, but absolutely there are still a lot of awareness days that you can get involved in, that you can plan. If you can't get involved with them this year, you could next year. So yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Someone's just launching and wondering how best to start. I think always the best way to start is, bad analogy right now, but it's like going to a party and kind of the first thing you do is go into the kitchen, you get a drink, you kind of hide in the corner a little bit and watch what's going on in the room. I think even though you're launching, there are still no quick wins. Probably a really hard time to launch as well, unless your profiles are all set up and you have some existing connections that you can reach out to tell people what you're doing. I would say no different to what you would normally do. Plan, prepare, watch what other people are doing, prepare your content plan and go out there. But reaching out to people, sending one-to-one messages, being visible is how you'll build your business. And there are, you've said a VA, there's some specific resources out there I know for VAs and how to start and how to build your business. Just clicking through these, just bear with me. How can a business page interact with accounts on LinkedIn? People do business with people. They always have done, they always will do. They will not do business with logos, even though we do know what certain businesses stand for and big brands. I never think that it's a tactic to use a company page on LinkedIn to engage with people. It's very much about your personal profile. Whether you're a freelancer or whether you're an employee in a large business, focus on your individual profile, your own network. And if you do have a company page, just be using that as a content hub to post content on, and then encourage your team, your colleagues, your peers to share that out to your personal network. So business pages don't interact. Logos don't interact, people do. How can a business page easily view relevant newsfeed? It doesn't, it's about you and your network. As an individual, you can connect and follow individuals, but you can also follow company pages. And it's the company pages, like I just said, that is really the kind of the corporate content on what people are doing. So LinkedIn is all about you as an individual. I think that is all the questions, and it is 9:20. Apologies if I have missed anything in here. There's been lots of kind of thank yous and comments coming through. I do wish you well. Please don't panic. If there's anything I can help with, do get in touch. Please do stay focused, stay safe at home, and thank you.